Welcome back. So today I'm going to be changing the steering wheel on my G29 racing sim setup. This steering wheel is about 10 inches in diameter and it's a bit too small for me. Feels like a toy actually. Although the materials are nice, I really want a wheel that's a little larger, so I'm going to be swapping this out with this one here. This wheel is 12 and a half inches in diameter. Okay, so this is the new steering wheel that I'm going to be converting into the G29. It's the cheapest steering wheel I can find on Amazon at $29. The material is not very good, as you can see. It's kind of like this PVC material. Doesn't feel like real leather, but I'm really just going for the feel here. It's got some aluminum and plastic parts. Let's test fit it here and see what it'll look like. Okay, so test fitting it on here, as you can see, it's considerably larger than the original steering wheel. So let's go ahead and remove this wheel here. It's 6 hex bolts, and you need to unclip a couple wires in the back, and then we'll take this out and then start removing this material off of the wheel itself, so we can separate the center. So it's a number 4 hex, and there's 6 of them. The reason why I want to convert the wheel instead of just getting a new wheel and getting an adapter and just putting it over this is because I want to be able to reach the buttons without having to go behind the wheel. So doing it this way is going to be a lot better because you can still access the buttons and the paddles without having to worry about getting to them during a race, because when you're in a race you don't want to be fiddling around trying to get to the buttons. So this is going to be a pretty neat conversion once it's all said and done. Okay, so next up there's going to be 5 Phillips screws in the back that you need to remove. They're about this small, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing that now by spinning the wheel around. Okay, so this is the old steering wheel off, and that's the base of it, and I just pulled this plug out. It was only one connector in there, so very easy to take off. Now we can go ahead and start modifying the wheel. So here's our comparisons, and if you don't like this kind of wheel, I mean, you can get any other wheel you'd like, as long as it has these sections here that you can bolt these onto. You can make it work. I might even do that later down the line if I can get a better steering wheel, but for now I'm just going for a better feel and a larger diameter overall. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the center from the old steering wheel, and a warning, if you do this you probably won't be able to reverse it, so just letting you guys know ahead of time. Okay, so we've got the center part of it cut out, making sure to keep all the wires and the motherboard safe on the back. So now it's time to go ahead and cut out the center piece of this, and then we're gonna fit it on there with some bolts. Alright, so this is the center of the aftermarket wheel that's now cut off, and we've got enough left over to latch on with some bolts. Alright, so here it is now. It's cut precisely to the steering wheel. I'm just gonna have to sand and paint some edges here that I had messed up on, but overall I think it looks pretty good. Now I'm just gonna have to drill some holes here, and on this section, and then bolt it on, and then this will be good to go, and then we can put it back on the wheel itself. This is the finished product. You can see right here I have the bolts that I placed on, and the back side of it you can see right over there. Those are where the nuts are. As far as aesthetically, I put a blue tape on the top here. It's like a felt tape material to kind of give it a little more of racing stripe at the top. I painted the bolts black instead of silverish, and painted the aluminum parts black as well. Overall, very pleased with it. The size is perfect. It's not too large, like a 13.5-inch wheel. It's a 12.5-inch wheel, so it's slightly smaller than your typical wheel in a car, but it's a lot bigger than the stock one. And I can still reach the paddle shifters. And again, I'm not very good at this game, but I'm learning, so let's learn together here. Alright, I'm going to show you guys some gameplay with the paddle shifters. And as you can see, I can reach these paddle shifters pretty damn easily. And that allows me to be more precise. I feel like if you were to use the other, what do you call it, the other steering wheel options where you have to put a spacer and you have to put an adapter, not only is it hard to reach these buttons here, but it's also hard to reach the paddle shifters. So yeah, this setup, I highly recommend it. You know, being able to hold or to reach the buttons and reach the paddle shifters is really really important feature that I thought I really needed. I didn't really want to have to fiddle around to get to the buttons. And overall, the experience is a lot more engaging to me now. It doesn't feel like a toy, so I'm glad I have this set up now, and I highly recommend it. It takes a little bit of trial and error to get, you know, the bolts lined up and to get to do this right, but man, this car sounds good. You can hear the supercharger whine. I haven't modified it heavily. I think I just put an intake and an exhaust on it. Oh, excuse me. So I'm playing on traction control level 1 this time, so gotta be a little careful. Last race was at a level 3. Alright, survived. Man, makes me want an F-Type again, especially the V8. So much easier to drive with the paddles, but it's so much more fun to drive with the manual option or the stick shift. This game though it's a lot of fun. It feels authentic. I've never been on a track, so I can't compare it to a track experience, but I can say that it's a very fun experience and it makes me want to drive on a track for the first time. First place. I think I need to up the difficulty a little more. But overall, this steering wheel, I highly recommend it. And it doesn't have to be this specific steering wheel. You can use really any steering wheel as long as you have enough space for the center piece of this. You can put the bolts on, you can fix it on. This part here has zip ties, and this is a lot better than the stock one that I had before. So, highly recommend it. I also recommend upgrading the pedals on the springs and the pedals, and upgrading your shifter with some rubber bands and gated magnets here. It just helps the overall driving experience in this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll respond to all of them, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good evening.